Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So on this eve of Narasimha Jayanti, which is happening tomorrow, we are extremely fortunate that we are getting some chance to speak something from Srimad Bhagavatam for the glorification of the wonderful manifestation of the form of the Lord as Narahari, Narasimhadev. So we will have some discussion today and tomorrow for the appearance of Lord Narasimhadev. Narasimhadev's pastime is so wonderful and so big in Bhagavatam that probably after Krishna's pastimes, Narasimhadev's pastimes finds mention up to 9 chapters in 7th canto. So it's pretty long. And it's very wonderful to know about Lord Narasimhadev, who's our eternal protector. And very interestingly also important to know the history, how the worship of Narasimhadev started in ISKCON. What circumstances, how did Prabhupada start this? And what is the significance of worship of Narasimha in Gaudiya Vaishnavism? And what we can learn, what is the context of this pastime? How did it find mention in Bhagavatam? Just like that, was it just like that Parikshit asked about the pastime of Narasimhadev, or how did it happen? So all these questions, and as I said, it's quite vast. One of the things that usually we, when we hear Narasimhadev's pastimes, it refers to one of the aspects of Lord, or one of the facets of the Lord, that the Lord is Bhakta Vatsala, right? The Lord is very, very affectionate to his devotees, and he gives protection to his devotees. This wonderful form of the Lord, Narahari, half man, half lion, is celebrated worldwide. I mean, people celebrate the appearance of Lord Narasimha. In fact, forgetting about the devotees celebrating now, even Bhagavatam mentions that the pastime or the manifestation of the Lord as Narasimha is a reference for protecting his devotees, and it has been counted by other devotees who came later on. For example, this pastime happened in Satya Yuga, and after Lord Krishna departed to Dwaraka, which is mentioned in Bhagavatam, Krishna Swadhama Upagate Dharma Jnana Dhibhi Saha. So after Krishna has left, there are inauspicious omens which were seen by Yudhishthira and Arjuna. Arjuna was completely shattered, and there he speaks about a verse which comes in the 1st canto, 15th chapter, 16th verse. And very wonderful verse. That verse says, Yad doshu, the verse is, Yad doshu ma pranhitam guru bhisma karna naptr trigarta salya saindhava bahlikadyahi astrani amogha maimani nirupitani no upasprashaha naraharidasam ivasurani. Very interestingly, nobody would know that Prahlad Maharaj and Narasimhadev's mention is there in 1st canto, 15th chapter, not in the scheduled incarnation. In the lamentation of Arjuna, where Arjuna is counting different things that the Lord has done to protect him from various dangers. Yad doshu, doshu is the protection of arms. So under the Krishna's protection of arms, yad doshu, ma pranhitam. Since I was situated under the protection of Krishna's arms, Guru Bhisma Karna Naptra Trigarta Salya Saindhava Bahalikadai. So he's naming, he's counting who all were present on the opposite side. One side I was just standing under the protection of Krishna, yad doshuhu ma pranihitam. Other side Guru, Dronacharya. Bhisma is Bhismadev. Naptra is Bhurishrava. Karna is Karna. Trigartha is King Susarma. Salya. Saindhava, King Jayadratha. Bahalika, brother of Maharaj Santanu. So brother of Maharaj Santanu was also present on the opposite side. Bhisma's father, Santanu. His brother was there on the opposite side. Adyehi, etc. So on one side there is Guru, Naptr, Karna, Trigartha, Salya, Saindhava, Bahalikaidahi, and Astrani Amogha Mahimani. They were having invincible weapons. Astrani Amogha, invincible weapons. And Mahimani, very powerful. And they applied, they were throwing these weapons at me. But just because I was under the protection of Lord Krishna, Yadoshuhu ma pranhitam na upasprusha. They couldn't even touch a hair of my body. It could not even touch those weapons. Upasprushu. Like Narahari Dasam Iva Asurani. Like servitor of Narasimhadev, Prahlad was protected by all the weapons employed by the demons. Iva Asurani. So not just us, even earlier days the devotees are counting the mercy or the protection of Lord Narasimhadev. Very interestingly, in the purport, if you want to know who are all these personalities, they are not some ordinary people like, okay, एक के जगह पे 10 खड़े हैं, वैसा नहीं था. I mean, they were all very mighty. Jayadratha, Bahalika, Trigartha, King Susarma, and Prabhupada has given descriptions of each one of them in the purport. He explains who's Bhurishrava and what is his claim to fame. You can go through that, but very interesting to know that Arjuna actually remembered the protection of Narasimhadev for Prahlad. Interestingly, if you see, there is one thing which Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that to make the words of Prahlad, Narahari Dasa, as he is quoted in this verse, Bhagavan Narasimhadev appeared from the pillar, which was chosen by the great demon Hiranyakashipu. He chose, is your Lord present in this? And the Lord appears. By this incident, he not only proved that, he keeps his words, but the words of his pure servants. That is also infallible. If the pure devotee of the Lord has told something, the Lord protects those words. Because Prahlad told he is present in this pillar, the Lord had to make it true, and he appeared. And very interestingly, one other thing which we have to see is, when we start serving Lord Narasimha, we get the protection from various weapons of Kali Yuga. That's what Prabhupada mentions. We get protection from various weapons of Kali Yuga, like dissatisfaction, greed, envy, comparing ourselves with others, craving for material things, etc. And unfortunately, these weapons are more dangerous than the weapons shot by Arjuna. Didn't shoot anything. The weapon shot by Kauravas, all the other sides, who were shooting these arrows at Arjuna, those weapons will not last forever, but the impact of these weapons of Kali Yuga, they will torture us forever while we are alive. So by serving Lord Narasimhadev, one can become immune to these lower qualities and be elevated to the position of an unalloyed servant. Interestingly, the worship of Narasimhadev in ISKCON started in Los Angeles, where there were countless reasons, but there was one of the things which Prabhupada mentions in one of the conversations, which finds a mention in Vedaves, where Prabhupada is telling that it's as it is in the conversation, Narasimhadev may save you. He has got two business: to give protection to the devotee and kill the demons. What is the song we sing? Narasimha. No, Narasimha, our song. Narasimha song. Namaste Narasimha, आगे. Namaste Narsimhaya Prahlada Lada Daina. You can stand if you want to. So the reason for Lord Narasimhadev's appearance is not that he wanted to kill Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu's killing was, it just happened. But it is Prahlada Allada Daine. It's to give pleasure to Prahlad. That's the first thing, right? So what Prabhupada is mentioning is Narasimhadev may save you. He has got two business: to give protection to the devotees and kill the demons. But the result is one. Even though Narasimhadev does these two actions, two activities, but the purpose or the result is one. What is the result? He does good to the demons by killing, and he does good to the devotees by giving them protection. And Prabhupada says, Narasimhadev will give you protection in my absence. So we pray to Narasimhadev not just to remove the obstacles outside, but also to remove the obstacles within. There are so many enemies which are within, which are more powerful and more dangerous than the enemies or the obstacles which are there outside. So that's why we say, Ito Narasimha, Parato Narasimha, Yato Yato Yami, Tato Narasimha, Bahir Narasimha, Hridaye Narasimha. Narasimhadev is also there in our heart as the super soul. Bahir Narasimha, Hridaye Narasimha, Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapadya. I am taking shelter of that Narasimhadev. Externally, we need some protection from evil forces, from demons and all those things. But internal protection is very important. Then what is the next line? हो गया. Next line. क्या है? What is Tabakara Kamala means? What does it mean? कहाँ है? Chisel like nails तो नहीं है. Tabakara Kamala Vare. Chisel कहाँ है? Yeah, so Tavakara Kamala, as he rightly said, it is the hand is like lotus, very soft. There is one conversation which is there in Bhagavatam where Mother Lakshmi is massaging the feet of Vishnu, and she's thinking, my hand is soft, but softer than my hand is the lotus feet of Vishnu. So I am massaging, but it might be hurting him. But with this soft limbs, soft bodily parts, how can the Lord kill demons? So Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shringam. Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shringam. Tanu Bhringam. What is Bhringam? Wasp. Yes. How did you know? Where did you? It's good. Bhringa is wasp. So actually a wasp can go and destroy the flower. But here it is mentioned Tava Kara Kamalavare. He's with that Kara, the hand, the lotus-like hand. That lotus is destroying this wasp. Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shringam. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bhringam. Keshavadra. But who's that? Who's that? Who's doing this? Kesavadhrita Narahari Rupa. That Supreme Lord, when he appears as Narasimhadev, he kills. He destroys the in the first line when we say Namaste Narasimhaya Prahlada Lada Daine Hiranya Kashipur Vaksha Shila. So it's like a stone, like his body was like steel, stone like body, but it was torn apart, right, with the Nakham, which is the sharp weapon which he used. Now we can talk about Narasimhadev's protection. We can, definitely these are all worth remembering. We can see the instructions which Prahlad Maharaj has given, or we can see the prayers which Prahlad Maharaj offers at the end of Narasimhadev's pastime to pacify Lord Narasimhadev. Well, the thing that I wanted to talk about today, since we will have another class also tomorrow and discuss about Narasimhadev's pastimes. Even otherwise, it is very important to know what is the context in which Narasimhadev's pastimes comes here? How does this pastime find a mention in Bhagavatam? You know, how does the pastime of Narasimhadev come in Bhagavatam? Let us speak on mic.
So in the fifth and sixth canto, there was a war in which Lord favored demigods, because Lord appeared as Mohini Murti, and somehow illusioned all demons and gave nectar to demigods.
That happens in 8th canto.
Why doesn't further? Yeah. So no, but the question was: is that Lord equal to Miss? Lord is equal or not? Miss Parishit Maharaj had a question, and that's the reason all this.
You're
started.
right, but yeah, the context is actually Parikshit Maharaj had this doubt in his mind in the 7th canto, 1st chapter. If you see, that's how. Interestingly, who's telling this pastime of Narasimhadev? Is Narada Muni telling to Yudhishthir Maharaj? Actually, what is happening is it's the Rajasviya Yajna of Yudhishthir Maharaj being performed, and at that time there is one person by name Shishupal who was given this special boon that if he commits 100 offenses together, then he'll be severed, his head will be severed. And so Shishupal somehow had a mystical counter or something where he used to keep a tab of number of abuses or the scoldings that he was uttering on Krishna. So he'll go 96, 97 and he'll stop. But on the day of Rajasviya Yajna, when Krishna was selected to have the Agra Puja, the first worship, he just went on blah, 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 and 100 offenses, at the 100th offense, his head was severed. So when that happened, when that incident happened, there Yudhishthir Maharaj is questioning this, that why did Lord do this? Is Lord so very interestingly, there's all these things. Okay, if before even going there, I don't know how many of you have you seen the painting of Back to Godhead or ISKCON devotees of that head of Shishupal being severed? पांडुरंग हाँ कि ना नहीं बोल रहे, नहीं देखे. किधर फ्लाई किया? So anything that you remember from that painting? Actually, the painting is so well drawn. If you see, his teeth was clenched. He's like, it is severed, and he was ready to utter. His tongue is ready to utter more blasphemy, but it just happened. It is not like Krishna was hiding the Sudarshan Chakra somewhere and he just brought it now 100. It just appeared just like that, and then his head was severed. Very beautifully drawn. So the question that Yudhishthir had was why the Lord is so partial. And interestingly, Bhagavatam always, if you see Bhagavatam, if some question is asked, they give reference to somewhere else where similar question is asked, and they conclude like that. So for example, if you see the 6th canto where, the pastime of Ajamil is mentioned, the potency of holy name is described. The last verse of 6th canto, 3rd chapter, it is mentioned Kumbha Sambhavaha. When the great sage Agastya, the son of Kumbha, was residing in Malaya hills and worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so this Kumbha, Agastya Muni, who's the son of Kumbha, who was worshipping the deity, he personally, I approached him and he explained to me this confidential history. So this is being given a reference that I heard it directly from the son of Agastya Muni, Kumbha. When he was worshipping the deity, he spoke about this pastime and the glories of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Similarly, when this question is asked, actually, this is happening in keep it in the backdrop that, in the Rajasuya Yajna, this fellow's head is severed. Just before that, in the seventh canto beginning, our Parikshit has asked this question that, is the Lord partial? Can we say that the Lord is partial because he always takes the side of the side of demigods? Why the Lord has to be partial? Because he's not gaining anything out of it by being partial to the demigods, or is he impartial to the demons? Oh, no, no, sir. He's not taking the side of the demons? Was the question that he had. But mind you, Prabhupada clarifies something very interesting in the purport. He says that there is a difference between doubt and jigyasa. There is a difference between inquiry, inquisitiveness, and there is a difference between doubt. It is not that Parikshit Maharaj was having doubt in sadhu or sastra or any of those things. He was inquiring. He was inquisitiveness. His heart was completely soaked in the conclusions of. He was having complete faith in sadhu and sastra, but he's asking this for clarification. So, irrespective of whether you are having doubts or whether you are having inquisitiveness, a human being, when he has got this body, has to go through the sufferings in this material world because of the two things, ichha and dvesha, right? The reason why we are engaging in devotional service, because as Bhagavad Gita says, ichha dvesha samuthena dvanda mohena bharata sammoham sarva bhutani sarge yanti parantapa. We are bewildered in this material world. And the cause of bewilderment is because of our ichha, desire to be independent of Krishna, desire to enjoy independent of Krishna, and dvesha. Dvesha is hatredness. So because of this, we are entangled in this body. And the reason we are performing bhajana or we are doing bhakti, so that we become free from this entanglement. Right? The question is, very interesting question which I want you to think today. Maybe it's something which you would have not thought of. Yes, I know Narasimhadev's pastimes. Yes, I know Prahlad Maharaj instructed to his demoniac friends. Yes, I know that, Prahlad Maharaj pacified Lord Narasimhadev. But do you know, or have you ever wondered, how did, in the same family where Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu are born, Hiranyakashipu is having this desire of becoming the demon or demoniac desires, and how Prahlad is having so devoted desires, the desires of a devotee. How did it happen? What leads to this kind of a difference, stark difference? And what is it that Prahlad did, or what was the special thing about Prahlad that he was bestowed with all these good qualities, or he had he developed these divine qualities, whereas Hiranyakashipu, even though he was born in the same family, was all having demoniac qualities. This is something very interesting to know and interesting to observe from Bhagavatam, because you can see it from various angles. One side you see Hiranyakashipu wants to have more and more, and he wants to have complete sovereignty in the entire universe. Everybody should obey, follow him. Whereas on the other side, Prahlad is, he's exemplifying another quality where he's becoming servant of servant of servant of servant, and he's constantly worshipping Vishnu. How did he develop this quality? Where does this come? And this is something very interestingly given in this first chapter, the context setting of this this seventh canto, and it is interesting to know. Everybody has got this subtle desires, vasana, and the subtle desires captures our consciousness. Madhupandit Prabhu talks about this vasanas, chitta, right? Actually it is easy to purify the gross desires. Gross desires can be identified also. But it is very difficult to identify the subtle desires. And the point that I want to drive today is that by the blessings of sadhu, auspicious desires arise. And by the anger or wrath of a sadhu, inauspicious desires arise. Mind you, the reason why Hiranyakashipu was having that kind of demoniac mentality or the demoniac qualities was because he offended. They were Jai and Vijay, and they offended those four Kumaras. They didn't know their position. And this is also one of the things which Parikshit asks, like, how is it possible that in Vaikuntha, somebody is offending and they're falling down from the Vaikuntha planet? We've never heard of. How is it possible? But come what may, this desire, or this problem that I displeased a sadhu, I didn't, I didn't please him, gives rise to inauspicious desires inside us. What does inauspicious desire mean? What is inauspicious? What does it mean that when somebody develops inauspicious desire? What does that mean? Very interestingly, if you see the desires that Hiranyakashipu had, where he said, as soon as he was doing that severe austerity, and that austerity was so severe that Brahma got pleased, and he on his own said, "Ask me for any benedictions," because that austerity pleased Brahma. The austerity that Hiranyakashipu did, if you just think about it, we know that there was an ant hill which was formed. But imagine, if we are all sleeping in the night and there is one mosquito somewhere, it is there and it is making some noise, we will not be able to sleep. Or if there is one ant which is there and it is just biting some part of our body, we will feel so conscious of it. Now there was a complete ant hill which was formed on top of him, and the entire flesh and whatever, blood, everything was taken out by this ant, but yet he was very determined to perform this austerity. And when he performed this austerity severely, only bones were remaining. And that is how, when Brahma, actually, interestingly, all these things we have to pay a lot of attention, because sometimes people misuse these words. You know what is the definition of austerity which Prabhupada gives?
Voluntary acceptance of difficulty for spiritual progress.
Yes. Voluntary inconveniences for spiritual progress. So each word in that it's a very apt definition. It has to be voluntary. You can't say that, well, there are a lot of things going on in my life. I'm in the transition period and so many things happened to me and I could not, and this is called tapasya for me. No, did you do it voluntarily? Voluntary inconvenience for a spiritual gain. Right, this was done by Hiranyakashipu voluntarily. Of course, not for a spiritual gain. He wanted to become immortal. And of course, Brahma appeared, and Brahma, gives him back his own body and gives him that benediction. What a powerful benediction that Hiranyakashipu had. But the moment he got that benediction, as we will see in that drama, he immediately realizes his power. And what does he do? He finishes all this chanting which was going on, all this, pious activities which were performed by the sages. He obstructed that. And in Bhagavatam, actually, it is mentioned, when somebody obstructs or when somebody doesn't allow these things to happen, in the 7th canto, 4th chapter, 27th verse, it is mentioned, Yada deveshu vedeshu goshu vipresu sadhusu dharma maicha videshaha sa va asu vinashyati. When one is envious of the demigods, who represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of the Vedas, which give all knowledge, of the cows, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, and religious principles, and ultimately of me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he and his civilization will be vanquished without delay. Now, when you displease a sadhu, when you make someone angry, when you have done this Vaishnava aparadh, and if somebody is not pleased, then automatically in the heart these desires come. The desires to go away from the path of devotion. It's a very subtle thing, very, very powerful thing, very subtle thing. Where, like in the case, it's in the extreme manifestation in the case of Hiranyakashipu, where he used all his power to, systematically stop the propagation of the knowledge of Vedas. He didn't do any cows and Brahmanas protection. He finished all those activities, religious principles, and he ultimately became envious of the Lord. So what our acharyas are saying is, even in our devotees community, we can see this pastime from various angles. If we are displeasing someone, what is displeasing means? What does it mean? Displeasing, basically, if you see how it is given, is if we are having our independent thoughts and desires, swatantra, where we don't want to follow the reason. There is an institution which has been created by Prabhupada. It's a it's a process of purification. It's a process by which, one comes out completely shining, and then only he gets an entrance to Vaikuntha Loka. Unless we are free from all those inebrities, like, the Lord who's free from all the tinges of this modes of material passion and ignorance, even goodness, we cannot approach him. If there is any tinge of any contamination, then we cannot approach him. And this institution is created in such a way that it will help us overcome all those bad things. Now, unfortunately, what happens is when somebody lives in the association of devotees, and if he spends his time in criticizing someone else, or he spends his time in doing things independently, slowly but steadily and gradually, his love for the Lord will diminish, will decrease. It slowly happens. First, the affection or the love for chanting the names of the Lord will go down. Then the goal of life, the reason why we came here voluntarily, nobody forced us. We came here so that we can perfect our life. So we need to live our life as per the principles of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. The attraction for hearing, the attraction for reading, the attraction for discussing also will go down. And ultimately, what happens is there is no attraction for Krishna, and then there will be attraction for other things, outside things. In one conversation, actually, Prabhupada mentions about this pastime and says that like Hiranyakashipu, who displeased the Vaishnavas, and that's how he developed all these demoniac qualities, if we also do that, then we will become attracted to Kermis. Very interesting this. We will become attracted to Kermis. Why do we get attracted to Kermis? Yeah, that is there. The opulence is there. He's giving you the mic. Talk in mic. Why the Kermis life become attractive?
Seeing their way of life and their opulence, and we think that we are lagging something. That comes in mind.
As it is mentioned, Krishna bhuliya ji bhogavancha kare nikatastha maya tare jhapatiya dhore. So when something auspicious is not done, then inauspiciousness takes over. And that's how one gets attracted to falsity of this material world and life.
No, what happens is when somebody gets attracted to Kermis, that means actually there is, you see, doesn't matter who you are. If you are wearing devotee's dress, you are having kantimala, and you are having tilak, automatically Karmi will have some respect for you, because he thinks I am a meat eater, or I am something, I am not following rules and regulations. Come what may, this devotee is at least, he's a devotee. He gives you respect. It's easy to get the respect from a Karmi than to get it in devotees community. So he gets attracted to Kermis, he starts associating with the Kermis more. He gets slowly, this goes away from the heart, and before we realize, so these are all Hiranyakashipu mentalities. That is why it is very important in association of Vaishnavas when we are staying. This is the protection that we have. It can save us, but at the same time, if we find someone who's not doing his things properly, or who's just callous, who doesn't care, doesn't want to follow, does things independently, better not to focus on those activities. Better just to focus on Krishna. Just maintain distance and let him do what he wants to do. Because this is, unless if we start doing also, if we start focusing on that, then automatically our devotional life gets affected. But the root cause of all these things lies in the fact that somebody, if he displeases the Vaishnavas, then inauspicious desires come in our heart. And the same time, when somebody pleases a Vaishnava, because in one place Prabhupada says, see, the bhakti is so simple. If you are simple at heart, say if I ask you, give me a glass of water, how much of material intelligence is required for this? You just follow it, and the glass of water is there, but I have got so much of intelligence, right? I can do it in better way, or I can, whatever those desires that I can do. But Krishna is not interested in seeing how much intelligence we have, because the bhakti has to come from the Lord, and it comes by his own mercy. by his blessings, and his blessings come when we become obedient to Srila Prabhupada, not when we become independent of Prabhupada. Not that, I have got so much of intelligence, I don't need Guru. I need to follow the instructions. I need to be obedient. If I am obedient, if I am following the instructions of Guru as per the institutional framework that he has established, automatically the mercy of the Lord flows. But if you see the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, which is mentioned in the same seventh canto, that Narada Angri Kripa Bharam, because Prahlad Maharaj was blessed by Narada Muni, Narada Angri, he was blessed by the lotus feet of Narada Muni. Prahlad Maharaj developed some wonderful qualities. And what are those qualities? That's mentioned in 7.4.30, where it is mentioned, Tasya Daitya Patehe Putras, sorry, not this one. It says, this one. But okay, before I go there and talk about the pastimes of the qualities of Narada Muni, of Prahlad Maharaj, very interestingly, we have that the dialogue which comes when Lord Vishnu says that I will come and I will finish Hiranyakashipu. Right? We have that dialogue recorded when the demigods were scared and they were praying, now what will happen? Do you know what is the reason, what Vishnu says, when will he appear? Then only I'll come. Because Hiranyakashipu was blessed by Brahma, right? And we saw that if somebody is obstructing this, activities of the spiritual activities, like, propagation of the Vedic knowledge or protection of cow and Brahmanas, immediately, Ashu, he'll be finished. But in case of Hiranyakashipu, it took a long time, very long time. So one may question why? Because he has got the blessings of a pure devotee of the Lord. Brahma is a pure devotee. He has been blessed by him. So the Lord has to protect. But, and that but was very powerful, because when we may not pay attention to this, but that thing when Krishna says that, oh, demigods, don't be worried, because I know what is he doing. Lord, it's not like, I have to do something separately. He knows who's doing what. And then he's saying that when he will insult my devotee, what is that verse? He's telling Hiranyakashipu had 4 wonderful, well-qualified sons, of whom the one named Prahlad was the best indeed. Prahlad was a reservoir of all transcendental qualities because he was unalloyed devotees of the personality of Godhead. This is about the qualities. The verse that I was looking for is, when one is envious of the demigods, okay, that also I spoke. When Hiranyakashipu teases the great devotee Prahlad, his own son, who's peaceful and sober, who has no enemy, I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately despite the benedictions of Brahma. This is a very subtle thing which we need to see and pay attention to. When Hiranyakashipu teases the great devotee Prahlad, his own son, who's peaceful, sober, nirvairya, prasantasya, swasutaya mahatmane, praharadaya yada durhyet, dhanishye pi barojitam, who's peaceful and sober and who has no enemy, I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately, despite the benedictions of Brahma. So that is why in our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, a lot of emphasis has been given for avoiding this Vaishnava aparat. There is nobody can protect in that case. Nobody, not even the Lord himself, not even Guru, nobody can. Very clear example of this is when Indra killed Vritrasura. That time, actually, Indra, where did he get the Vajra from? The Dichi's bones. So Indra was knowing that he's going to be victorious, he's invincible, he's going to win over Vritrasura. But Indra was also aware that Vritrasura is a devotee because he is Chitraketu. But he was advised by all those sages and other people, Brahmanas, no, you must kill him because Vritrasura is a demon. Now he has come and he is going to destroy. You better kill him. So Indra does that, but after that, what happens to Indra? After Vritrasura is killed, what happens to Indra? He has to go and reside inside the stem of a lotus. Because he did this offense of killing, nobody came to his rescue. Not even those sages who have advised him that you kill, they also didn't come. So like that, when we commit this Vaishnava aparad, and the consequences are very, very heavy, very severe. So that is why in our devotional life we have to be very, very careful. That's why Prabhupada says this is Shurasya Dharam. This is walking on the razor's edge. On this day when we are doing all this, arrangement, when we are focusing on taking the protection of Lord Prahlad, Lord Narasimhadev, it is important to see that we are not having these desires inside which is malicious to someone, which is hurting someone, or which is displeasing to a Vaishnava. Because the moment we have that, then it leads to inauspicious desires, materialistic desires, hankering for materialistic association, and very soon we will go away from bhakti, we will go away from this path. Whereas if somebody has got the blessings, like in the case of Prahlad, because being blessed by Narada Muni, he developed all the transcendental qualities. As this is mentioned, Tasya Daita Pratehe Putras, Hiranyakashipu had 4 sons, Chatvaraha Parama Adbhutaha. Tasya Daita Pratehe Putras, Chatvaraha Parama Adbhuta. But one, that Prahlad, is Parama Adbhuta. He was most wonderful. Why? Because Maham Stesham Gunair Mahad Upasakaha. He was actually reservoir of transcendental qualities because he was an unalloyed devotee of the personality of Godhead. In the next verse, Narad Muni says, so Narad Muni, this is a very rare example where a guru is talking about the qualities of his disciple, and the blessings are given by him only. So it is mentioned, Brahmanayaha Sila Sampannaha Satya Sandho Jitendriyaha Atmavat Sarva Bhutanam Eka Priya Suhruttamaha Dasavat. So the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj is given very wonderfully, and the qualities are as mentioned by Narad Muni himself. The qualities of Maharaj Prahlad, the son of Hiranyakashipu, are described here with. He was completely cultured as a qualified Brahmana, having a very good character and being determined to understand the absolute truth. He had full control of his senses and mind. The word that is used here is Jita Indriya and Satya Sandha, determined to understand the absolute truth. One has to be truthful. In the purport, Prabhupada talks about Samodamas Tapah Saucham Kshantir Arjavam Evacha Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Svabhavajam. What are the qualities or the characteristics of a Brahmana? One of the most important quality is to be truthful. We are wearing Kantimala, we are chanting the names of the Lord in the same tongue, and we from the same tongue, if we start talking lies, false things, that's actually very, 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 very bad, very inauspicious. So that is what I want you to focus on today's this discussion that we are having on this pastimes of Narasimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj. What led one to become Hiranyakashipu, and what led one to become Prahlad? A clear example, at a clear distinction which comes when somebody pleases. That is why in our life, in our movement, it is very important to get the blessings of Vaishnavas. The more one has got the blessings of a Vaishnava, the more he will develop an attraction for Krishna. The more, otherwise it will appear like just like some deities who are standing and there is no point. The person cannot even stand for a long time. He'll just run away. There is no attraction for Arati. There is nothing. This will all gradually manifest when we displease Vaishnavas. There is more to talk about. We can go on talking about Narad Muni and Prahlad Maharaj and this wonderful pastime. But I would like all of you to read the words that we are going to chant tomorrow. So much of practice which we are doing. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namastejas Tejase Avir Bhava Vajranakha Vajradamshtra Karmasayan Randhaya Tamo Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Atmani Bhuishtha Om Shraum. Many powerful things are there. We should not read just Bhagavatam for the sake of telling someone else or for explaining it to someone. Let me read something, gather or check kar leta hu, WhatsApp se, idhar se udhar se. I should read it for myself. I'm chanting this verse. What is the meaning of this verse? We will talk about this verse tomorrow, and there is something which we develop in the due course of our bhakti, which comes in our heart, which is very detrimental. And that verse talks, it's a very beautiful prayer. Many important things are mentioned by Prahlad. This comes in the 5th canto, and we will have some more discussion. And then in the evening we have this wonderful yajna where all of you can participate. And then we also have a beautiful drama which is planned. You can all witness that, the activities of Hiranyakashipu and how he was slayed. All these things are in store for tomorrow. Any questions, any comments?
Krishna Prabhu. What a devotee can do so as to protect from committing offenses, and what one can do after perhaps knowingly or unknowingly doing that.
Protect himself from committing offense, and then what is the next one?
And what to do if it has been done knowingly or unknowingly.
If it has been done, the best thing is to go back and just ask for forgiveness from him. There is a saying in when it must be there in all languages. Suppose suppose a thorn, like if you're pricked it has pricked your feet. You can't take it out from head. It has to be taken from the feet only. It is hurting there. So like that, if one has committed offense, it's good to go and ask for forgiveness from him. Then it will be done. The matter is closed. In the verse also, if you see that Ichcha and Dvesha, these inauspicious desires lead to attachment to material things. Attachment to material things is still easier to overcome. But Dvesha, when you develop hatred to someone, or when you develop some repulsion towards someone, it is very difficult. That affects your mind more, I would say, more strongly than developing an attachment for material things. How do we avoid this? Don't see the faults of others. Don't criticize. The person who does a lot of criticizing others, lot of fault finding, that means the real goal of coming to bhakti is not known. If he's spending time in developing the qualities of a good devotee, then he'll be free from seeing this. Because the Lord also knows. It's not like you have to go and talk and do something. The Lord is seeing what the other person is doing. So it will be taken care. Forget about it. Vaishnava, just respect and leave it at there. But important thing is one should be clear about his goal of coming here. It's not about, because the subtle desires of pratishtha and puja and lava, they don't leave us. That's as bad or probably worse, like having a desire for opposite sex. Because it's a every in deep root corner it is there, that I hanker for it. So they don't go, and that's why better you focus on your bhakti, your this thing, and leave that to others. And if you have committed, ask for forgiveness. The first words of Prahlad Maharaj, that 7.9.8, Brahmadaya.
Brahmadaya suragana munayoda siddha sattvaika gatayo vachasam pravahi
naraditum puragunair adhuna pipipruhu kim tosham arhati samay hari ukrajate. Very interestingly, if we really want to do the glorification of the Lord constantly, which is throughout the Bhagavatam, the messages like Narada Muni, when he detected the dissatisfaction of Vyasadeva in his heart, or even multiple places, you see that the solution which is given is to glorify the Lord. But glorification of the Lord is done in what manner? In what way? How did Prahlad Maharaj do this to Narasimhadev? With this we will close. Where there were great personalities like Brahma, Indra, all were present, and they were all very scholarly. They were all always fixed in the mode of goodness. But why? What is it that Prahlad Maharaj had that pacified or it attracted the mercy of Narasimhadev? Very interesting. This verse which he chanted. The translation of this is Prahlad Maharaj prayed, "How is it possible for me, who have been born in a family of asuras, to offer suitable prayers to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Even until now, all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and all the saintly persons could not satisfy the Lord by streams of excellent words. Although such persons are very qualified, being in the mode of goodness, then what is to be said of me? I am not at all qualified." This statement of Prahlad Maharaj is his biggest qualification. Sometimes when the Lord has given us some ability or some talent, we feel puffed up. Without me, this service cannot happen. I am there, that is why this service is happening. That mood comes. But here, look at the mood of Prahlad Maharaj. Actually, Narasimhadev had already placed his hand on Prahlad, because Prahlad bowed down Abhrabhat, like Dandavat. He fell down like a stick. And Narasimhadev has been pacified. But when he is about to glorify Narasimhadev, the first thing he's telling is, how is it possible for me? It's not like, I'm Prahlad Maharaj, I know I've been protected by you from all circumstances. Who is this Brahma, Shiva and all this? No. How is it possible for me, who have been born in a family of asuras? I am born in a family of asura, to offer suitable prayers to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even until now, all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and all the saintly persons could not satisfy the Lord by streams of excellent words. They are actually always sattvaikatan. They are always fixed in the mode of goodness. So they could not satisfy. How can I do when I am born in Ugrajate? I'm in the blood that is running in my veins and in my arteries are demoniac blood. How can I do this? I'm not qualified. This is the biggest qualification. That is why Prabhupada in his wonderful purport to this verse very nicely quotes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. This quality of humility and giving respect to all, even those who are troubling us, exhibited by devotee Prahlad and Dhruva. That pleases the Lord. We will stop here and see that wonderful verse, Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya 5:18:8 tomorrow. Wonderful verse. And let us all pray to Narasimhadev that all those demoniac subtle desires, those vasanas which are there inside, let him remove. Because I myself cannot do this. With my mind, intelligence, with my ability, I'll not be able to do that. And if those demoniac desires are gone from our heart, then the heart becomes clean, shining. It becomes like Vrindavan, where the Lord resides, where we can have this attraction. And of course, it requires all the mercies of all the Vaishnavas. That is how it is possible. One more thing which I would like to say, tomorrow is fasting till sunset. We can hope to chant maybe 32 rounds. If those of you who want to chant extra number of rounds and you are here in the temple, immediately after Bhagavatam class, we will chant for 1 more hour at least. And then we can go for our services. Narasimhadev Bhagavani ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.